if you want to be as big and as strong as possible, then you should do deadlifts and squats and a whole bunch of machine work. But if you also want to possess strength that is more functional in nature, then I'd highly recommend including moves into your routine that train one leg at a time and has you moving in ways that actually carry over to everyday life and athletics beyond just brute strength. Now, functional strength has gotten a bad rap lately because influencers have led you to believe that it consists of movements like this. But the right functional strength movements allow you to progressively overload while allowing you to explore all the ways that your body was designed to move. That's why in today's video, I'm going to share 4 of my go-to lower body exercises that build functional strength, using full ranges of motion, challenging loads, and movements you can actually progress over time. Let's get into it. Functional move number 1 is the front squat. All right, now the barbell back squat gets a lot of glory as the king of lower body movements. We find that the barbell front squat is actually the ultimate functional lower body movement. And a lot of it is because people can often sort of fake the funk with barbell back squats. They can lift a ton of weight because they're able to compensate and use their lower backs, use their upper backs to get the weight up into position. But with the barbell front squat, there's nowhere to hide. You have to maintain ideal upright positioning as you're coming up and down. And if you can't do that, you're more than likely gonna just dump the bar forward and your lift is over. So someone with a massive barbell front squat, you know is going to be very functionally strong, very capable, and very athletic because of how much is required of their front squat. All right, so I'll show you without the bar at first, but basically you're gonna be in this position where the bar is resting on your frame and you're going to be lowering yourself down. And as you're doing this, you have to have optimal squatting mechanics. You have to be upright, and this is requiring a ton of quad strength, a ton of core strength, a ton of upper back T-spine strength, as well as mobility throughout your entire body. So it just requires a lot, and that's why it's one of the reasons why it's one of our top functional lower body movements. All right, now let me show you with the barbell, but I also feel like the same applies with, let's say, a goblet squat or a double kettlebell front squat or a double dumbbell front squat. All the same rules apply, and I think all those moves are very worthwhile in a functional training regimen. All right, so I'm going to position the bar right underneath my throat and over my clavicles, and I'm gonna rack the bar like this. And I apologize if this is hitting the microphone at all, it might, but bear with me here. Now in this position, the bar is resting on my frame. I could let go of the bar completely and it would still maintain on my frame without any issues. And then from here, let me show you from this angle, all you're doing is trying to stay upright so that the bar remains positioned on your frame as you lower yourself down. All right, so you can do this. And then come back out. Again, staying upright. And come back up. Now let's say the weight is too heavy or if mobility is an issue, more than likely it's gonna pull me forward to the point where I can't recover and the bar will end up being dumped forward. All right, so that's why it's so important to have optimal control throughout this movement. And again, I could simply let my hands go and perform the movement like this. And again, it really teaches me optimal squatting mechanics. All right, so let me rack this. Now, even though it is a challenge of balance and stability and coordination as I'm coming down, the front squat can be heavily loaded, so it can be easily progressively overloaded. So it's the perfect combination of a compound lift that can be really progressively overloaded while also still being extremely functional and has a lot of carryover to everyday life and athletics. And if you think about everyday life and athletics, let's say you are playing a sport that is a contact-based sport, and your opponent is out in front of you and you have to block them or grapple them or tackle them. The weight or the person is out in front of you and you're using your legs and your body to drive them forward. Same concept with the front squat. Also, in everyday life, you are often pushing things, pulling things, holding things in front of your body. You're rarely having it positioned perfectly on your back and moving that way. It just really wouldn't make that much sense. But you're often doing things where you're loading and unloading things in the front of your body. And that's why we feel as if the front squat is one of the ultimate functional lower body movements. For the front squat, we like 4 sets of around 6 to 8 repetitions. Now Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that this position right here requires so much mobility that a lot of people have a difficult time holding the bar in place like this. Now, if that sounds like you, all you need to do is use an arms cross grip like so. And this helps alleviate any pressure or tension on your wrists and makes it a little bit easier to hold onto your frame. The other thing is, if it's difficult for you to drop all the way down low because maybe you have ankle mobility restrictions or hip mobility restrictions, you can simply elevate your heels using a heel lift, using a squat wedge or a pair of bumper plates to help you to get down lower. And those are some modifications you can make if the barbell front squat is a little bit challenging for you at the moment. Functional move number 2 is the walking lunge. All right, now you can really do any single leg exercise here. You can do a split squat, a Bulgarian split squat, a reverse lunge, but I really like the walking lunge because like the name implies, you're actually moving and locomoting forward. Unlike a split squat or a Bulgarian split squat where you're just straight up and down like this. All right, so there's a lot more eccentric forces at play or decelerating forces at play because you're actually walking and locomoting forward. All right, so this is how I like to coach the walking lunge. You grab a pair of dumbbells, and all you're gonna do is just think about taking a long stride forward to the point where you have nearly 90-degree angles on both legs. All right, so that's a good starting spot. Now from here, in this bottom position, you're really thinking about driving through your front leg, coming up and stepping forward, coming down and coming back up. All right, so I really like this because there's a lot of good balanced lower body development as you're going through this movement. You're getting a lot of quads, you're getting a lot of glutes, all the while you're getting a lot of adductor and abductor involvement trying to stabilize you with the movement. Now you can do this a couple of different ways. You can do it like this where you load it up pretty heavy, step forward, and then gather yourself in the middle before stepping into the next lunge. Or you can go maybe a little bit lighter and go like this, where you step and then transition directly into the next lunge. And then finally, one of my all-time favorite variations, you can step forward like this, drop down, and then come up into a walking lunge with knee drive, and then come down, and then come up, all right? So these are just one of those versatile exercises that you can do a lot of different things with, but I love the fact that you are locomoting forward, actually moving forward, actually decelerating yourself with each and every step. And again, this isn't one of those moves where you have bands everywhere and you're single leg trying to balance. This is a very serious move that develops a ton of muscle throughout your body, but also is able to be progressively overloaded and is also functional, balanced, and stability oriented, and just checks a lot of different boxes for a very strong functional lift. Functional move number 3 is the rotational step up. All right, now for the third functional movement, I wanted to include a multi-planar movement. Oftentimes in the gym, you see people doing squats, leg presses, hack squats, movements where they're basically on a very stable surface, 2 legs, and they're pointing straight ahead, and they're doing very bilateral, sagittal plane movements. But rarely do you see people explore different planes of motion, right? Where they're experiencing the frontal plane or they're experiencing the rotational transverse plane. We want to be prepared for anything that life throws at us, anything that we could experience in athletics. We want to be prepared for that. And so by incorporating movements that are multiplanar in nature, we can help to build resiliency and strength throughout our muscles, our tissues, our joints and tendons. All right, so now in this channel, we've talked at length about lateral squats, lateral lunges, and curtsy lunges. I wanted to showcase something a little bit different for this video, just to show you something a little bit different. And this is where the rotational box step up comes into play. So how you're gonna get set up is you're gonna grab a pair of light dumbbells like this, and you're gonna be set up directly next to the box. So you're not gonna be behind it stepping up, you're actually gonna be directly next to it. Now from here, you're gonna swing your leg off to the side. All right, so what you'll notice is it's basically a 90-90 position, right? Where you're creating a 90-degree position here and you're swinging your leg out 90 degrees. Now with the dumbbells, you're going to step up and rotate as you come up. And then on the way down, you're gonna slowly come down and rotate back to the start position. All right, so now a lot of things are happening here. Not only are you creating a lot of leg strength by stepping up onto the box, but this swinging out nature where you're actually creating rotation while stepping up adds a very functional and unique benefit. And on the way down, you're creating a lot of eccentric, decelerating force and challenge by coming down like so. All right, so you're getting a lot of great benefits here, a lot of multiplanar training, and you're getting a lot of adductor and abductor benefits as well. So try this one out. I like 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps on each side. And for this one, don't worry too much about exact knee maneuvers and stuff like that. Just let your body naturally do its thing, and it's gonna create a lot of positive benefits at your ankle, at your knee, at your hip. Finally, functional move number 4 is the slider hamstring curl. All right, now I like the standing leg curl as well as the seated leg curl for hamstring development, right? So you're right here, you're isolating the knee and you're flexing the knee like this, and you're getting a lot of hamstring strength. I think hamstring strength is extremely functional. So I'm definitely not against machines in general, but I also think there is a time and a place for different types of movements. And this is where the slider leg curl comes into play. Now, if you are walking, jogging, running, sprinting, your glutes and your hamstrings are working together to propel you forward, all right? So we're not just doing isolated knee flexion to move forward, we're actually doing integrated hip extension as we're coming forward. So the glutes and the hamstrings need to work together to push you off into this position. But by only isolating the hamstrings this way, you're kind of neglecting that sort of synergistic nature of the glutes and the hamstrings. And this is where the slider hamstring curl comes into play. So for this movement, you're gonna lay down and place your heels directly in the middle of the sliders like this, all right? Now, you can also use furniture sliders like I have. You can use those fitness valve slides. You can use socks on a hardwood floor or a towel on a hardwood floor. Anything slippery works perfectly fine. And from here, you're gonna get into a glute bridge position. But not just any glute bridge position, I want you to make sure that your rib cage is down, your core is engaged before you bridge up, all right? Now ideally, there should be a relatively straight line from your knees all the way down towards your chest area. I don't wanna see too much rib flare and lower back arching. So now in this position, you have true hip extension and your hamstrings or glutes are working together. Now from here, what I want you to do is maintain this hip extension as you lower down, like so. I like a count of 4 seconds or so. And then push down into the floor, keeping your hips high, and curl your legs in. All right, so now you're getting a ton of hamstring engagement, all the while your glutes are working to maintain that hip extension. A mistake that we often see are people getting into position and then curling out with their hips down and then curling in with their hips down. You might as well at that point just do a leg curl on a leg curl machine because you're kind of defeating the purpose of this exercise. You need to get your hips all the way up in order to maximize the effectiveness of the slider hamstring curl. All right, now for this movement, I like 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, and you can progressively overload this by going into more of a single leg hamstring curl. So you can go out here, you can work just slow eccentrics where you come down and then replace, come up, slowly come down, and then replace. Or you can do the full single leg hamstring curl, which is a ton of engagement on the hamstrings. Let me see if I can do that right now. So you're here, come down, and pull yourself in. And you can work on that for quite a while before you need to even add bands and things like that. So this is, again, another exercise where you can progressively overload for a long period of time that is highly functional in nature because it mimics everyday life and athletics as well. All right, so I really like the slider hamstring curl for that purpose. And there you have it, 4 lower body exercises that are functional, challenge you through full ranges of motion, use meaningful loads, and actually transfer to how you move and perform. Add one or more of these into your routine and you'll feel the difference where it counts, on the field, in the gym, and in everyday life. If you're looking for workouts that combine strength, mobility, and athletic performance, check out our free guide, Sustainable Strength. It includes a sample week of workouts to help you train smarter. You can find the link in the description box below. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below, subscribe for more content just like this, and let us know in the comment section down below what you'd like to see from us in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.